Good evening and welcome to the first of two meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, and at this time we will convene our Board of Public Works special meeting for Monday, May 22nd, 2017. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Dave Harrison.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, Board. There are no minute approvals for this evening. There are no dockets to approve, no unfinished business carried over from the previous meeting. This is a special meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety, and there will only be one order of business, and that is to hear and approve a special contract between Citizens Water Authority, CWA, and the City of Beech Grove. At this time, I will defer to our attorney who has been hired to represent us, Alan Hux. Alan, could you step to the podium and proceed to explain to the board the special contract? And good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Board. I have presented a copy which I think was put on the website concerning a special contract between CWA Authority, Inc. and the City of Beech Grove. This stems from a case that was filed by Citizens Water, CWA Authority, Inc., with a rate case wherein they were requesting rates, a general rate increase for all of their retail customers and industrial customers. And the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, the IURC, had found in a previous rate case that satellite communities, being Beech Grove, Lawrence, Greenwood, Hamilton Southeastern Tri-County Conservancy District, as satellite customers were being substantially in their terms subsidized by the low rates that the satellite customers were paying, based upon previously entered contracts between the City of Indianapolis and those specific satellite customers. The IURC requested that that CWA, since they received an assignment of those contracts, negotiate with the satellite communities to try to bring or renegotiate those contracts in order to bring them up to a cost of service so that the satellite communities would, in their opinion, not be subsidizing the ratepayers of the City of Indianapolis. What is called a subdocket was created for the satellite communities to determine what that subsidy was. Testimony was filed by CWA, and their initial request that indicating that a full cost of service would be $3.06 per thousand, and they were requesting an automatic increase to $2.89 per thousand for wastewater treated. Three of the satellite communities, being Ben Davis Conservancy District, Beech, Greenwood, and Lawrence, intervened in that proceedings, and over the last year has negotiated a rate and has provided that the commission is going to terminate all the satellite community contracts and put all satellite communities under a special tariff. That special tariff, based upon the evidence that is before the IURC at this time, will raise satellite communities' rates to $2.48 per thousand. I believe Beech Grove is somewhere in the 75 cents per thousand range at this point in time. And that will go into effect 30 days after the commission approves that order, unless those satellite communities, Beech Grove, Hamilton Southeastern, and Whitestown, and the other satellite communities, enter into a special contract. And those special contract terms take precedence over during the phase-in period, over a period of approximately 12 years, and that are phased in so that there won't be rate shock to these satellite communities. Two of the satellite communities, being Hamilton Southeastern and Tri-County Conservancy Districts, are paying in excess of $2.48, so their rates will go down. All of the other satellite communities are paying under $1 per thousand. Also, in the negotiations of this special contract, not only do we have a gradual increase in those rates will not be affected by any rate increases over the first 8 years that CWA goes back to the commission and requests rate increases for. And the majority of that cost, I'm of the opinion, will be costs associated with the Big Dig, the tunnel project that CWA is doing because of their combined sewer flow, and the budget for that was somewhere near $1 billion. So those costs will be passed on to their ratepayers over this period of time. But at least under the satellite community and these special contracts, their rates will be fairly stable for the next 8 years or until 2025. After 2025, Phase 2 goes into effect as indicated in the contract, and any rate increases that are given to CWA during the first 8 years will be proportionately increased for the satellite customer during that period of time, plus any rate increases that are given during that Phase 2 will be passed on to the satellite customers. One of the other benefits by executing a special contract is, I believe that Beech Grove received an invoice from CWA for capital costs pursuant to the existing contract in the neighborhood of $10,000, I think it was. And that invoice goes away with the execution of the special contract, and the amount paid will revert back to what was paid in 2016, which is $85,000.
Can we do
I
some
think that sort
questions
of,
now?
yeah, I beg your pardon?
Can we do a couple questions now?
Oh, certainly. I think that sort of gives you a broad brush.
The first question is, that I have, just to clear the air, is this isn't something that the city of Beech Grove initiated.
No, not at all. This was initiated by CWA through the Office of Utility Consumer Counselor and the industrial customers, indicating that based upon the rate study that was done in 2013, they felt that in their rate study in that cost of service study, they were showing that based upon the way they did their cost of service study, that the satellite customers were not paying their fair share, all satellite customers. So Beech Grove fell in just like Greenwood, Ben Davis, and Lawrence. They were stuck with the commission going forward and the possibility of them terminating their agreement.
If CWA did not apply for a rate increase through the IURC, would we be here tonight discussing this?
Well, no, I don't think that we would, because, they initiated the rate increase. Their rate study that they prepared showed the subsidy. The IURC and the OUCC, which is the Office of Utility Consumer Counselor, abhors subsidies. They want all ratepayers to pay the same. And the evidence before the commission, I'm of the opinion, if nothing had been done, they would have been terminated. If there had been no intervention, they would have been terminated, and you would be paying what the IURC and CWA provided in their evidence. Probably the 306, possibly the 289, but certainly you would be paying more than what you are paying now, and you'd be paying it immediately.
Can I ask a question? So basically, the city is responding to a rate increase from the people who treat our wastewater. Is that correct?
The city of Beech Grove is trying to minimize the cost that they will have to pay for wastewater treatment. And they will be paying the same rate to to treat that wastewater as all of the other satellite communities.
Okay, so the city isn't increasing all the property owners' bills just to increase the money for a financial gain for the city.
No, the city is merely responding to an increased cost that they will have to pay.
Right, they're
So-
telling us, Beech Grove, this is what you're gonna have to pay to treat your.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's
I mean, that
exactly right.
makes
Beginning,
sense.
at some point in time, it's going to go from 70-some cents to, if you sign the contract, 97 cents. That'll start in 2019, January 1, 2019. If you don't sign the contract 30 days after or within this year, the city of Beech Grove would start being billed $2.48
Okay,
per thousand,
Per 1,000 gallons.
per thousand gallons.
so let's kind of break that down a little bit so maybe the public can understand that a little better. So if right now we pay this, if we don't pay this, can we cut that kind of more clear than what it is?
Okay, right now, you receive a bill from CWA each month for the number of gallons received multiplied by a figure. We'll call it 76 cents. And then you send a check to CWA for that treatment cost. If you sign the contract for the next, until January 1 of 2019, you will continue to pay that 76 cents in order to give the city time to figure out how they're going to handle so that they don't go in the hole, because you operate on a budget, a yearly budget, so that you won't go in the hole over that period of time to reimburse the city to, at least to a break-even point. If you don't sign the contract, then 30 days after the IURC signs the order, they will send you a bill for $2.48 per 1,000 gallons. So if you don't go this route, then you're going to increase your cost from 76 cents to $2.48.
And can the
And-
city afford that?
Well, I don't know the budget, but I can't imagine that they have prepared for that, because that amounts to a tremendous amount of money.
That's a big chunk of change.
Yes, the city can afford that.
And also, if it doesn't go this route, then they will seek to collect the invoice that they sent in April of $300,000 for capital costs, which is sent to the city based upon the old contract.
Has the Indiana Regulatory Commission approved Citizens Energy's rate increase?
The evidentiary here, as far as they have improved the rate increase for their retail and industrial customers. For the satellite communities, the evidentiary hearing has been had. The proposed orders are due on June 2nd, and then the commission will take it under advisement, and I would assume that within the next 60 days that they will issue an order. There has been a settlement agreement reached between Greenwood, Lawrence, and Ben Davis, and the OUCC. Each one has signed a special contract, the terms of which are pretty much identical, at least identical in terms of money issues as to the ones that we have renegotiated for Beech Grove.
Okay, thank you.
Can you explain to me what the difference is between the memorandum of understanding that we have with Citizens Energy versus a special contract?
Memorandum of understanding was, well, a memorandum of understanding is a memorandum of understanding. It's not an agreement, it's just a memorandum of the understanding. The commission does have the authority to terminate contracts that they don't believe are in the special interest or in the public interest. So that is what they are doing with these low-cost special contracts, because they are of the opinion, and the evidence that they have seen or that Citizens has provided to them, that the satellite communities are being subsidized. So that memorandum of understanding was an understanding of what it was, I believe, the way explaining the old contract that was entered into by the city back in, I think, 79. Yes, in 79. So that was just an extension or an amendment of that agreement. And so, again, if nothing is done, that memorandum of understanding and the special, and your contract will be terminated.
Okay, I guess where I'm going with this is, this special contract, if they don't like it in 8 years, are they gonna do the same thing? Or could they do the same thing? I mean, it's not worth the paper it's written on, that memorandum of understanding, if they can do whatever they want with it. And I'm believing that's the same thing with this special contract.
I think that you have two different issues there. The memorandum of understanding was entered into between the city of Beech Grove and the city of Indianapolis that was modifying or interpreting a contract that was entered into between the city of Indianapolis and Beech Grove and the sanitary sewer district. And those facts have changed. And at that time, the commission didn't have jurisdiction over municipal sewage, municipal utilities. And so with that, at that point in time, the commission did not have any jurisdiction to change that contract. Based upon the sale and assignment of all of the agreements and CWA purchasing the sewer and water assets of the city of Indianapolis, in that transaction, they became and agreed to become under the jurisdiction of the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. Now, can they change this? The Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, in this business, in my business, you never say never. So, but I don't think that they will, because this agreement goes through 2029. And it is a fair and reasonable agreement because it does provide to bring all of the satellite communities up to their cost of service. So can they? I guess I can't say that they can't. I wouldn't stand here and say that they can't. Is it likely, after what has gone on and the fact that that they're bringing the cost of service up to and have provisions for having the satellite communities pay their cost of service, whatever that's going to be over that period of time, I don't think that they will void this contract.
But that possibility
Well, I mean,
exists.
in this business, anything's a possibility. Probability, I don't think so. Possibility, I wouldn't
Well-
guarantee anything.
The MOU actually went out to 2031, and what you're saying now, it's not worth the paper it was written on.
Well, I mean, again, you're comparing apples to oranges. The MOU was tied to the original agreement. The original agreement is going to be terminated by the IURC. So you're dealing at that time, when that contract and that MOU were entered into, the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission didn't have any jurisdiction over that contract. Now then, they are the ultimate decider of all things sewer having to do with CWA and all things water. And so they now have an agreement that they have approved, a settlement agreement that they have approved, and a rate system that they have approved. I don't see them changing that merely because it's not a fixed rate. It is a rate based upon future costs of service studies and trackers that will allow those costs to be passed on, the proportionate part, to the satellite customers, so that they are paying what they feel is their fair share of the cost of providing sewer service.
Alan, I had a question on page 4 or 5. talks about maximum daily usage. And then there's a surcharge, like maximum daily flow is like 2.5 million gallons. When it exceeds so many million gallons, it goes somewhere else.
Beech Grove, under their present agreement, has a capacity allocation of 2.5 million. I think that's where they go. They have allowed, generally, peak flow is possibly 3 times what a maximum daily flow is, so that would put you at, 7.5. They've given, or they have indicated that you do not reach your peak flow until you reach 8 million gallons. That's 8 million gallons per day. So everyone was concerned about rain events and infiltration and inflow and how that would impact that. Right now, you pay 76 cents for every gallon that goes through. And if you sign the agreement, you'll be paying 76 cents until 19, and then 97, and then it ramps up, or $2.48 for every 1,000 gallons that goes through that meter. Tariff rate number 6, which is going to be the rate for the satellite communities, that is modified by these special contracts, provides that if you reach your maximum peak flow in 5 days out of in any 5 days of the month, then they can put a 10% surcharge on the city for that. So that would mean that you would have to more than triple your daily flow for more than 5 days in any month. And average daily flow is figured on a 12-month basis. Peak flow is figured from 12 o'clock a.m. till 11:59 p.m. on a 24-hour basis, and that will then be based upon your metering.
So we can say no to this tonight, and it doesn't matter to the IURC. They are going to set these rates at $2.48 per 1,000 gallons.
248, and then you will be subject to the tracker. You will be subject to any new rate increases over the next 8 years, automatically within 35 days of the time the commission issues its order. This contract, you will see, indicates that the city does not have to pay any connection charges. Connection charges, the rate tracker number 6 does not mention connection charges, but this contract says that the city doesn't have to pay those. So that would mean that you have no obligation every time you hook somebody up to pay that connection charge, which at this date is $2,530. And also in this special contract, you do not have, you have the ability to issue your waste load allocation letters. So you're pretty much operating the same way that you do now without, other than paying this higher rate. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, so our rates our charges to the Beech Grove is gonna almost triple. So we either vote yes or no, or it doesn't matter whether we vote at all. This is what's gonna happen to us.
If you vote no and don't enter into the special contract, I see that scenario. I see that in probably 6 months, you're going to be paying $2.48 per
For
1,000
1,000
gallons. I see that your invoice for $300 and some $1,000 will be due. I see that any time that CWA goes back for a rate increase during this period of time, that you will have to pay that rate increase as determined by the IURC, so that your citizens are not going to be able to take advantage of this slow ramp up to the cost of service. The reason that they're going through this ramp up is so that satellite community customers don't face rate shock of more than tripling their cost of service or cost that you have to pay. That doesn't include any of the costs that Beech Grove has to maintain their own system. This is just to transport this is just to treat the wastewater from there and transport it from your meter to the Belmont plant. So that is on top of any other repairs, maintenance, any other costs that your sewer department needs to do to upgrade their system to stay in line with their NPDS permit, so.
So we can, both bodies could pass this, and then down the road, the council could vote not to adjust the rates to the ratepayer.
The council could do that.
That's an option that they have.
That would be an option that they'd have. I don't know where they'd get their money to pay it, but maybe you've got a lot in your rainy day fund. I don't know.
More questions? Dave, you have questions?
No.
Sandy?
So there's not a person in this room, including myself, or a person in this city who wants to pay a higher bill, period. So I just kind of want to reiterate to everybody out there, the city is responding to a rate increase from the people who treat our wastewater, correct? We are not doing this as a financial gain for the city.
Well, exactly.
That's a
You're-
correct
I mean,
statement?
this-
Yes, no?
What you are doing at this point in time is trying to save your ratepayers money. Because if you don't act, and I'm of the opinion, if you don't act and sign and accept the contract, the citizens of Beech Grove are going to be saddled with 3 times more money going out than what they are doing at this time. And that's only the treatment side. They've got to come up with another $275,000 to pay for the 17 and the 18, or the 17 capital bill that was sent.
And all of our surrounding,
And all of the
the
Greenwood, Lawrence, all of the satellite communities are going to
They have
be
done
under this rate tariff number 6. And Beech Grove, Lawrence, and Ben Davis, Greenwood, Lawrence, and Ben Davis have executed special contracts that are
That 300,
identical, I want to say 99% identical to this.
the 305,000, was that 1 year or 2 years?
That was 1 year.
1 year. So it'd be that every year if we didn't accept it.
No, the contracts will be terminated, that bill will be outstanding, you'll still, that invoice, if you sign the contract, is going to be withdrawn. You've
But if
already
we don't
received
sign
that
it-
bill.
If we don't sign it,
That
we
bill will
would
come
get it.
due.
and would it come due every year after?
The contracts will be terminated at the time the commission, no, that's a one,
Okay.
those costs, those capital costs that
Are
you've been
gone.
paying, the 85,000 and then the 305, those capital costs go away,
Okay.
If we enter in an agreement.
if you enter the agreement, yes.
If we don't, what happens?
You have to pay them.
I got a question for you, Alan.
Yes.
This is something along the lines where Dan was going. Does the city have a remedy outside the IURC?
IURC.
And otherwise, can we say we don't like this and we're gonna file an action in the Marion County Superior Court?
Yes, that's been discussed. If you look at the cases with the IURC and the way that an appellate court gives deference to the commission and their actions in the matters that they are experts in, sewer, water, telephone, gas.
So like arbitrary and capricious, or something, a very high standard that'd be very difficult. for the
It,
city.
they defer to their wisdom and their expertise. I always say that, you know, for what is it now? It used to be $125, $175, anybody can file a suit. But I believe that, and the only people that would win on that are the attorneys. I think it would be a waste of money.
I've got one more question. You said that the ratepayers could possibly pay 3 times the amount they're paying. The only difference is, from what I've looked at and studied, is they're not paying it up front, they're paying it on the rear end. That their bills are gonna go up 3 times the amount by the end of that 8th year.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But what you are doing is you're putting it off for that 8 years. You're doing it in steps so that, you know, next year, your citizens aren't paying $2.48. They're only going to be paying 97 cents. So you figure, or the city, I mean, the city pays this bill, and then you have to seek reimbursement the way your rates are structured from your customers. So, you know, CWA doesn't care how you do it or where you get it. They're gonna send you a bill. So you are going to be putting off that $2.48 for 8 years. So there's some value there. But you will reach that rate, and it will go higher, because I'm of the opinion that CWA over these next years are going to be seeking to be paid back and get a return on all of the construction that is being done, the big dig, the tunnels, and everything like that. I think that they're looking at, and some studies have showed that the potential for retail sewer rates in Indianapolis will be $75, $80, possibly higher.
Well, the issue I see with it is, let's say if they have a 25% increase, on year 1, it's 25% plus that dollar amount. On year 2, it's an additional 25% increase plus in dollar amount. So it's compounded each and every year during them 8-year increase. So it comes out to be a lot more than I think what this paper is showing.
I don't believe that you're correct there. The rate per gallon for the first 8 years is set. So it's not, I mean, it goes up. I mean, you can see it in the contract. First year is 97 cents per thousand. The second year is $1.1721, and that it does increase, and effective in January 1, 2025, it will be $2.48.4852 per thousand gallons. That will be the rate for that year. Now, any rate increases that are obtained by CWA during that period of time will then be tacked on to your rate and all the other satellite communities' rates during the next 4 years. That's called phase 2.
So in phase 2, if they increased it $1 per year, that's going to be added on after the 8th year.
Most likely, they won't be adding on $1 per year. I mean, they'll
I'm
be.
just throwing out an arbitrary.
Well, but they will be looking at a percentage, or they will be looking at a cost of service based upon the retail customers and based upon the satellite customers. And in this negotiations, there are costs that retail customers pay that wholesale customers do not pay. If you want to get into the weeds, we can talk about anything under 63 inches is not charged back to the satellite customers, because all the satellite customers use pipes and transportation mains that are that diameter or higher. But in the regular cost of service study, all the retail customers pay, in a holistic view, their costs for all of the mains, excuse me, all of the mains. So there, and in this particular cost of service, they were able to eliminate from the satellite customer's cost of service study infiltration and inflow, because in a normal cost of service, that amount is added on to a customer's cost of service, but all the satellite customers pay based upon meters, so they're paying that cost. So that cost is eliminated from the cost of service. So that's why in these negotiations, it was brought down from what they would originally request, $3.06 to $2.48.
Any further questions from board members?
I don't have any, thank you.
I don't have anything.
Alan, what is your recommendation to this board?
Well, my recommendation is that the board execute this agreement. I think that it would be, in my opinion, it's the best thing for your customers and for the city, because you won't get that money. If you don't, you won't get that money back. So I would recommend that the Board of Works approve it.
Any further questions or comments?
I have none, thank you.
I have none.
Board, the motion to either approve or disapprove the contract between CWA and the City of Beech Grove for wastewater services.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. You have the sheet?
Craig, I gave him 4 copies.
Yeah, they're,
As he said.
yeah, they're right there.
We'll just start down here, Dave. Now, Alan, having said that, that doesn't necessarily mean the council may decide to leave the rates alone. Not adjust the rates.
Council, as pursuant to statute, sets the rates and charges based upon the information they have before them. So I would say that if the money is in the sewer budget, and you can cover those costs, council can do that which they please.
Oh, here's the last one, Dan. Ellen, thank you, and we're going to convene the city council meeting immediately when this is over. Yes, Chris?
Does the ratification of this contract need this body and the council to vote, or is it only this body?
I brought it in front of the council strictly for transparency, so that you can have a say in what we're deciding. The sanitary sewer works, in my opinion, is under the control of the Board of Sanitation and Board of Works. That's my opinion.
Board of Works approves the contracts. I mean, but
Other, and I think that we had that discussion, other satellite communities, merely because of the issues involved, did involve the city councils, Greenwood and Lawrence.
But the council will hear it, and you'll have a chance to respond. Andy, what's the last one? That concludes new business. Comments from board members?
I have none, thank you.
I'm good.
Not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned at 7:11 PM. We will convene the city council meeting in 5 minutes. Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the second and last meeting this evening. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. And at this time, we will call to order a special Common Council meeting for Monday, May 22nd, 2017. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my left.
Buddy Templin, Councilman at Large.
Jim Rex, Council at Large.
Dave Harrison, Councilman District 5.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Vito Mascari, Council District 2.
Elizabeth Lamping, District 1.
Chris Duffer, District 3.
Kevin Day, District 4.
Thank you, Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, did you get the signature sheet for sign-ups, Craig?
Oh, I did not.
While he's doing that, we'll go, there is no unfinished business this evening, carried over from the previous meeting. And under new business, there is only one topic of discussion tonight, and that is a special contract between Citizens Water Authority and the City of Beech Grove. This time, we'll see if anyone has signed up to speak. No one has signed up to speak, so we'll move on to new business. And here to present the special contract to you tonight is Alan Hux. Alan was retained by the Board of Public Works and Safety to represent the City of Beech Grove in this agreement, our situation between the IURC, Citizens Energy, and Beech Grove. Alan?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the Common Council. You have, I believe, been given a copy of a proposed special contract between the City of Beech Grove and CWA Authority, Inc. This special contract has been negotiated between CWA and the City of Beech Grove in order to afford the City of Beech Grove the ability to phase in the rate increase that is now pending before the IURC. The original rate increase that was filed by CWA Inc. Was a increase in rates for their retail and industrial customers. And in that proceedings, they requested that a proceeding called a subdocket proceeding be instituted to allow a cost of service study to be performed and negotiations to be had with satellite communities being the City of Beech Grove, City of Lawrence, City of Greenwood, Tri-County Conservancy District, Ben Davis Conservancy District, Whitestown, and Hamilton Southeastern. And that came about because in the previous rate increase, that the commission indicated that it was troubled by the subsidy, which CWA claimed to be $14 million a year. That subsidy that the Marion County ratepayers were paying in excess of what the costs were to the satellite community customers. And so at that time, the commission requested or put the onus on CWA to negotiate with all possible haste an amendment to the existing contracts. CWA attempted that, and of course, those negotiations were sort of put off by the satellite communities because all the satellite communities have a rate that is under $1.76, somewhere around 76, maybe 80 cents per thousand. So CWA felt that in order to continue on, they created the subdocket, filed a cost of service study, which indicated that the rate that they needed to be charged, a full cost of service to satellite communities would be $3.06. And that The IURC had the commission, or had the authority to terminate all contracts that they believed did not serve the public interest. And because of the so-called subsidy, the IURC has that authority to do that. So 3 of the satellite communities intervened, being Lawrence, Greenwood, and Ben Davis, and have been negotiating over a year to reduce the amount of the increase that CWA was seeking. And out of those negotiations came what you have received is a special contract. The satellite communities of satellite communities of Greenwood, Lawrence, and Ben Davis are all signing similar, if not identical, contracts that phases in the rates that the commission or that CWA is seeking to increase at $2.48 per thousand. And they are going to terminate the existing satellite community contracts. The Tri-County Conservancy District and Hamilton Southeastern have terminated their agreement pending the approval of these rates, because at this point in time, they're paying in excess of what their cost of service is. And so at this stage, those parties entering into the special contract will have a phase-in over 10 years. The first 2 years will be at the same contractual rate that you are paying now. I believe that's 76 or 79 cents, I'm not sure. And then beginning in January of 2019, that rate goes for all satellite communities to 97.18 cents per thousand, and then increases over the next 7 years, so that beginning in 2025, the rate will be $2.48.52 per thousand. So if the community, Beech Grove being the last community to talk about a special contract other than Whitestown, and Whitestown treats their own sewage and they have other issues. So they've created a sub-docket 2, so they're not involved in that sub-docket 1 now, at least as far as this goes. But they're going to a cert tariff rate number 6 for all satellite communities, so that everybody will be paying the same. And in this special contract, some of the special provisions are this phase-in over the first 8 years, that if CWA has rate increases during that period of time, those rate increases will be postponed until the second phase, or the 4 years after that, and then pro rata, they will be phased in over that 4-year period. And the contract also provides that any rate increases during that phase 2 will be added to the rate. So I don't think that there's any question that all of the satellite communities and all the customers of CWA will be looking at rate increases over the next number of years, so that CWA can pay for all the construction that is going on for the deep tunnel projects and all of the upgrades and sewer construction projects that they have. And of course, those costs are going to be passed on to their ratepayers. So that I think over a period of time that you will be looking at significantly higher rates than what the retail ratepayers are paying in Indianapolis. And also, those rates are going to increase to the wholesale customers. Although the wholesale customers will not be paying the full rate that the retail customers are paying in the city of Indianapolis. Now, when we talk about costs, this is merely one cost that the city council has to look at in determining what they're going to charge their customers. I mean, this will be a fixed cost that the city will have to pay during this period of time. If the special contract is not entered into, beginning 30 days after the rate is approved by the commission, it will go to $2.48. So 30 days after that period of time, you will start getting a bill instead of 76 cents, $2.48. If you sign the special contract, you'll still be getting a bill for your, the amount that you're paying now up until January 1st of 2019. Then it'll go to 97 cents. And then as the contract that you have, it'll be stepped up over that next period of time. One of the other issues in the special contract is that right now, the CWA charges a connection fee to all new customers that come on their system. The special contract provides that the city of Beech Grove nor any of the other satellite communities that enter into the satellite or the special contracts do not have to pay that connection fee, which is $2,530 for each connection that is that is connected to their system.
Alan, I have a question.
Yes.
Council, at any time you have questions,
Yeah.
please ask. My question is, you stated that Greenwood, Lawrence, and Ben Davis started negotiating over a year ago. If we would have started negotiating with them, would we get a different deal than we get tonight?
No, I think everybody got the same, I mean, well, they're trying to uniform the rates. And so every satellite customer is going to be paying whatever that satellite tariff is. Right now, $2.48. When they go back in for a rate increase, that they will have a tariff rate number 6 based upon a cost of service that it has to serve those satellite communities. So all the satellite communities existing now and new satellite communities, if CWA takes any on, they'll all be paying the same thing.
So those.
And you would have no different rate than any of the others. And you're paying the same rate that they are paying now, except for their contracts. But beginning January 2019, everybody will be paying the same rate if you sign the special contract.
So those satellite communities have been in negotiation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Those satellite communities have been in negotiation, so I'm guessing they've probably had, their cities have had some out-of-pocket expenses to get to this negotiation. So we're kind of hooking up on something and we haven't had to put the money out ourselves.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, he's not doing this for free.
No, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the negotiations of these cities.
We could have paid him 30, 50,
Yeah,
40,
yeah.
$50,000.
So the negotiations that have gotten us to here could have cost us a lot more.
Yeah, so Alan, I had a conversation with Alan, I think back in December of 15, and we made a decision not to opt into the litigation. So essentially, we are piggybacking what, so the city's in a better position, I think, by not
Better
getting
position
involved.
for,
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
The satellites, Lawrence and Greenwood and Ben Davis, they have accepted the new contract. Or are they paying the same as Indianapolis customers? Or do you know?
No, they all had contracts that were entered into in the early 70s with the city of Indianapolis, and they were all paying under $1. I don't know, I can't remember. I mean,
with the new contract, will they be paying the same as Indianapolis?
no, they will be paying the same rates as Beech Grove.
Do we know what Indianapolis is?
Indianapolis retail rates, I did not look at that. They are higher because they're paying for the entire system. Don't hold me to this, but I think that their rate is somewhere in the neighborhood of $4.50 a thousand. But I didn't,
That's for residential.
yes. But that's just what I can remember. It might be $3.75, but they are paying a higher per thousand rate than the satellite customers because they're picking up all of the cost. And where in this cost of service study, they go out and they take a look at what's it cost to serve Greenwood, Ben Davis, and Lawrence. And in that cost of service study, all pipes are used because they look at it as a holistic system. In this negotiation, all transmissions facilities under 63 inches were taken out of the satellite communities. So you're not paying those costs or those depreciation costs. Infiltration and inflow was taken out. There are some other things that were taken out of the cost of service to the satellite communities because they are not getting benefit of those assets. So that's what reduced that rate from what they were seeking, which was less than their retail rate, down to $2.48. Yes, sir.
Why, when they came up with our memorandum of understanding, were the rates set at what they were set at if we were so disproportionately out of sync with Indianapolis?
Because,
Why were they set that way?
well, I can't answer why,
But
but
why
I
would
can,
Indianapolis have agreed to that for us? If
Because-
they would have been smart enough to know that they were subsidizing us then.
I don't know that I can draw that conclusion. The city of Indianapolis, one, didn't have the big dig. They put off a lot of things. They felt that I mean, that was a council question back then. Did they know that it was costing more? I don't know that. I think that they thought that they were getting their cost of service out of it, but I think that the evidence at the IURC says, or shows that they weren't. Plus, you've got all of, the deferred maintenance that was not being done, and you've got the long-term control plans, the APA regulations, and what they're doing, they chose to construct the tunnel system for flow equalization rather than separating their storm and their sewer. And so all of those costs for, the 30 or 40 or 50 or 100-foot tunnel, whatever that diameter is being put into those rates. And so those have to be reimbursed to CWA, and will be, because the IURC and possibly the council should have looked at that. Why they didn't, I have no idea. Things are a lot different in 17 than they were in 79 or even in
The rates are going-
2014.
Over this 7-year period, they're going to go up 231% for us. If we, well, they already agreed to it. But when it goes up 231%, what other commodity do you see increasing that much? You think a loaf of bread will cost 231% more in 7 years? Or a gallon of gas? Why is it okay for the sewage treatment to go up that much? Why would the IURC put that burden on the back of the citizens of Indianapolis, Beech Grove, Greenwood, Lawrence? Why would they do that? I know you can't speak to this, but why couldn't these questions have been asked and perhaps save the ratepayers some money? Because what we're doing up here, we're listening to your facts and figures, and we're understanding what you're saying, and we're saying, well, pretty much we're extorted into doing this. It's, pay your 97 cents here in a year, or go up to 248, whatever, 248. But I don't see that that's fair for any of the taxpayers in Marion County. Why would they agree to that?
I think you have to take a look at, if I were paying that,
If you
No.
were sitting on the IURC,
I don't,
would you
well,
balk at this?
you have to look at what what the statute says, both for this council here and what the IURC looks at. And any rate that doesn't cover the cost of the sewer system is unlawful. So that's a starting point for this council. That was a starting point for the city of Indianapolis. But also the IURC is looking at people who provide that service. They are guaranteed, based upon being a public utility, that they can receive their cost of service to provide that service to their customers.
But isn't that called extortion?
Well, I don't know that I would go that far.
Well, I mean,
I think
being
that,
made-
the OUCC, the Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor, who is charged with representing the ratepayers, I mean, they have looked at these numbers, they have agreed to these numbers. In fact, they have looked at these numbers, they have agreed with this settlement agreement. They are involved in all of the CWA or utilities that are governed by the IURC. They are involved, so they are the ones that are looking out for the ratepayers. And do we like it? No. But a lot of these costs are mandated by others, the federal government. And if you don't do it, you get fined. And so if you call that extortion, that's what it is. But the money has to come from somebody, and the way that it's divvied up, and that obligation is to the ratepayer. That is why in these negotiations, what was tried to do was to segregate those costs and to eliminate those costs that didn't benefit the satellite customers, like I've talked about, the infiltration and inflow and the size of mains, so that you didn't turn around in this instance and subsidize the Indianapolis ratepayers because you don't get any use out of what you are not paying. Now, is it a perfect agreement? No. Would we like it to be less? Yes. But the negotiations were pretty much weekly for a year, and in negotiations, nobody gets what they want, nobody's happy, and I think that's probably about where we are. But the big thing is, in my opinion, the big thing is the ramp up so that you don't get the rate shock. And that's the most important thing. I think eventually Greenwood, Beech Grove, people have to pay for what they get or what the service costs. And that's where we're headed. I think that if you take a look at Belmont and what they've had to do with sludge and all they've had to do for increasing the cost because of infiltration and inflow, the city of Beech Grove got a bill for let's say $50,000. I can't remember just exactly what it was for their capital costs. Well, is that fair? Well, one could argue that maybe all those costs didn't go to help Beech Grove, but that's what that memorandum said. Well, in this special contract, you don't have to pay that 16 assessment, so you're back to 85. So right there, I think you're ahead of the game as far as cash out goes.
So
But it's, you can call it anything that you want, but what we've tried to do and what I think has happened is that we've got it as low as we can get for the cost of service of providing sewer service.
And I guess I'm holding you accountable for something that you should not be held accountable for, but you're the face that I'm talking to.
Well, I understand.
tonight.
I understand.
And
I just wish I had
You know what, you and I can afford this increase, and we can justify it in our minds that the infrastructure needs to be improved. But what do you tell the poor lady or the poor man living in their home whose Social Security hasn't gone up in 3 years at all, and yet you're gonna raise up their rates and their utility rates? I don't know what we tell them. They're unable to afford it.
That's a conundrum that we have, I think, on almost everything that we're doing. So,
I got a question.
I don't know where you go.
In '79, when this was originally negotiated, they negotiated at 71 cents per thousand. Is that right?
I want to say it was
I can't remember. It has increased on a
73.
yearly basis
And
since
so
they entered into
in
it.
'79, they negotiated this at 73 cents. And they negotiated through what year?
2031.
How stupid were they to do that? What they did, and I'm not being, I'm just saying, think about it. '79, they negotiated at 73 cents till 2031, they never expected things to change, so they left that, I mean, what a dumb contract that was for them. Not us. We probably had a great contract.
Thank-
But what I'm saying is, and everything changes. I got a sticker of a brand-new car I bought in 1969 for $3,400. That car today would be well over $45,000. Now then, are we gonna say that the automobile industry is, raping us or what? I mean, it's the same thing for everything. Costs go up. I don't like it any better than anybody else. But 71 cents for 30, 40 years? Man, I like I've been sitting at that
Alan,
Included in that was a $71,000.
a year fee or whatever.
It was a monthly $71,000 dollar bill that, I don't know, it started off at a lower dollar amount. I don't know what it is.
You know, Dave,
at
as
the
dumb
bus.
as that is, they sent our clerk treasurer a letter dated March 1st where they're lowering that rate.
I don't understand that memo that he got compared to a contract we have. It sounds like they were gonna lower.
I mean, I agree with what Dave's saying. There's no way prices can remain the same from 1979 till now.
Exactly.
And yet, they lowered our rate, March 1st, 2017.
I have a question that relates to, we met here on a Saturday in February, and I think everybody, with the exception of Vito, would have been there. I don't know if everybody was present, but part of that conversation was about the 306 that's mentioned yearly, that increased from, what was the amount again?
71,000.
71,000.
85, I believe, you paid last year.
Yes, it gradually went up from the 71, and it possibly could have been 85. I haven't
It was 80, it was
researched that.
85 in 2015.
And
How that was done, when they started, they had that was for your capital costs. And so they would take your proportionate part based upon the percentage of your, utilization of the Southport treatment plant, and then and whatever those costs were, they'd send you a bill or amortize that over a 20-year period and tack that on each year. So if that 85,000 would go for a period of time, and I don't have that schedule, the 2,000, you got the bill for the 305 because of all the work that they did at the Belmont plant, or I think, or Southport, one of them, for the capital cost. That was your proportionate part of the capital cost, and that was going to be paid over a 20-year period.
I understand the capital part of it, but we had an agreement for the amount that was set at and it even went up to 85. It went from the 70s to the 80s. But my question's not really that. My question is, we met here to talk about the 306 and also to talk about potential increase. We knew that Citizens was looking, they were going before the commission to look at increasing their prices. And I think one thing that the public ought to be aware of, that you're gonna get a bill, whether we're the people sending it or whether Citizens is sending it, you're gonna get a bill. That doesn't change. We have a misunderstanding it could change, but you're gonna get a bill, someone's gonna pay the price. But my question was, we suggested fighting at 306 at that meeting, if I recall right. The city attorney even asked a question along that lines, and we were told we can't fight it. We were told it would not, I shouldn't say we can't fight it, but that we would not be able to win. We knew at that time in that meeting that Greenwood was already involved, because I'd heard from Greenwood, I believe I shared it with the clerk and maybe one of you guys, that even a month or so ago that Greenwood had already got a negotiation. They already got an agreement with this. And I think what I'm a little bit, that bugs me with government is we set on this 306. To my impression as a city councilman, there was not a thing we could do about it. And today, apparently, there's a lot of strings tied to it. And it kind of bothers me at that meeting that no one stood up and said, well, Greenwood and Ben Davis, and they're fighting. Why are we not fighting? And I know the councilor mentioned we're glad that Greenwood and all them went out and spent the money, but they were the entrepreneurs in this. They're the ones that said, hey, we're not going to settle for this. We're going to fight immediately. I wish the city of Beech Grove, and that's my fault too. I'm here too. I'm not here to point blame. I'm just saying, is that how we're going to do business with this? I'm just concerned that right there, we all just wagged our tails and said, there's not a thing we can do, walked out of the room and pounded into the citizens of Beech Grove that we're gonna raise your utility rates one day. Instead of saying we're gonna fight. Now, the mayor, I think last meeting or so, said that there was some good news and that he was gonna push for that, and that was good to hear that. And I think, maybe you could explain to me, and here's the question, took a long time. The question is what happened? What happened all of a sudden for you to get involved, and you were involved at the meeting, I get that. You weren't actually, I believe, hired or anything. You were there to participate and to help out. But what was the steps that took place that said Beech Grove, Indiana now needs to lower this 306, or maybe, and I believe that was the number one thing I was concerned about at the time. I didn't think we could do anything about the rates from the commission and how citizens was going to come about that. So not to linger any longer here, I just wonder what happened. Did the mayor come up and say, hey, we ought to go fight this 306, or?
Timing,
Okay.
timing of the settlement. You gotta know when to enter the fray.
What settlement we talking about? The one with Greenwood
What
and?
we're talking about tonight. With
Okay.
Greenwood, Lawrence, and Ben Davis.
Okay.
It was the timing of the settlement. They were getting ready to settle, so it was time for us to move.
Okay. That's all I needed to know, but I still think that we should have moved back. I could be wrong, it might have cost more money, but
It wouldn't have changed a thing. You just said it 10 minutes ago.
we know that now. We don't have crystal balls. It's like sending a guy in from third to home, and he gets out. Someone goes, why'd you send him in? And you go, I don't know, I thought he could make it. And that's my point. We don't have crystal balls, so we can't always sit around and wait for things. And I'm really not trying to bash anyone. I'm really trying. That's why I'm hesitating, being careful, because that's not what it's about. It's about what we do from here on in. And it was just a little bit when I sat in that meeting and went home thinking, why can't we fight this 306? And if anybody, I thought we were just gonna be paying it. I really did. So
didn't
I'm glad today that that part's settled at least.
I didn't understand that we were gonna be paying it. I understood that we very well, it could be, we would not have to pay it if things progressed to this point. That's, I guess.
Well, you got more out of the meeting than I did, Counselor.
Yeah.
I did not get that out of the meeting.
Hey, Alan,
Oh.
it's my understanding that in this process, you represented the city of Greenwood, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so we were similarly situated to the city of Greenwood throughout this process, I'm assuming.
I would say you're similarly situated with Ben Davis, Beech, excuse me, Greenwood and Lawrence.
Okay, so do you remember me and you talking around Christmas time in 2015 when all this kind of got heated and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do? And the mayor decided that we would not intervene into this process. I want to make sure we got this correct, though. We're in no better or worse position by not intervening. Is that correct?
That's my opinion. The three interveners worked together, spent a lot of time. Nobody got a different deal. Everybody got the same deal. I don't think there would have been, you'd had somebody on the front lines at that point in time. But would these number have changed? I don't care if we'd had 4 or 5 lawyers there. I don't think it'd have made any difference.
So if we
And
did
that
intervene-
definitely was not my point. I hope the city attorney
You know,
understands that.
mayors talk amongst each other. You know, I talk to the mayor of Greenwood and Mayor Lawrence all the time, and we talk about these things and what the status of these things and where they're at, and you listen. Now it's time to go.
I have a question. Lawrence, Greenwood, and Ben Davis, did they have comparable bills that they owed like we do, the 306? And once they signed the new contract, that was dissolved then? Or do you know? I'm pretty sure Lawrence had one, because I talked to Councilman there.
They had, it was based upon utilization of plant and percentage of plant. You have 2.5 million gallons. Greenwood's capacity is 14 million gallons.
So their bill that they owed was, could have been.
I'm just saying that it was based upon percentage in the plant and gallons, and everybody got a bill based upon their utilization.
had a question, and this is on my third meeting on the council, so bear with me. What is the primary driving factor behind these increases? Is it capital improvement, just cost of doing business? Can you elaborate on that?
It's just my opinion, but I think that the driving force is compliance, long-term control plans, CSO problems that the city of Indianapolis has, and the cost of making or complying with EPA and the Clean Water Act.
Okay.
Those, I mean, when you're looking at $1 billion, which is the number that has been thrown around, you're talking significant capital. They have a plan where they're looking at septic tank elimination costs. So all of those costs, the septic tank elimination is not in the satellite customers, but their retail customers pay that cost. So because CWA they're guaranteed their costs plus a rate of return.
Okay.
Any public utility is.
But with that 306 that we were set to pay, and I know that it went up exponentially each year or down,
That was just, I mean, that was just their initial request. And I mean, if you follow how these things go, a lot of utilities, whether it's electric, gas, or any, they will ask for
Yeah.
more than what they,
Well, I mean,
I shouldn't say they ask for more than what they need, but they ask for the biggest figure that they can justify, and normally that figure is cut down at a point.
Okay. But that was a part of a capital improvement that we're paying a percentage of to assist with the utility and improving service.
Part of that 306 would have been included in that, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's all I had. Thanks.
And as I understand, antitrust laws and monopolies, that doesn't apply to utilities, does it?
Well, I'm not an antitrust expert, but no, I don't believe that it does.
I mean, I guess it's a nice gig if you can get it. If you just decide to increase your capacity and get a nice new pristine sewage treatment plant, I mean, we could use a new city hall. Let's just jack the rates up, Mayor.
I like this one.
Like the oil companies.
No comment.
I know you don't have a comment. I'm frustrated.
But honestly, you're no more frustrated than I think any of your counterparts at any of the other satellite customers. A lot of thought and a lot of consternation went into, the costs of, there are issues out there that have been settled on that it's a settlement. I mean, not everybody gets what they want, and it becomes down to economics. And I think that everyone feels that this is a very good outcome for the satellite customers. Given the hand that you're dealt with, this is a good outcome.
Do you remember what the original proposal was for the rate increase?
Satellite customers, I think it was 306
I was thinking.
per thousand. And their original was to spread it over 8 years. Satellite communities wanted 12 and settled on 10 for the ramp up.
In 2025, are we saying, I don't know if I might have misunderstood, will we be paying as much as citizens in Annapolis pay? Will the
No.
rate be pretty close? They'll still be
I
higher?
don't, based upon what we have here, the retail customers of the city of Indianapolis will always pay more than the cost, than they're charging you to treat the sewage. However, I can't say that, I don't know what all the other costs involved are for maintenance of your collection system here. Those costs are on top of course, the 248. I might say that I know that the wholesale rate that Plainfield charges some of its customers is over $4 a thousand.
Yeah, I was just, and I mean, the clerk, it's kind of off topic a little bit, but I wanted to use your expertise there, that kind of putting in some of the cost and the math, it's good that we're a satellite independent person, it sounds like. Would that be a true statement?
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
Okay.
I think Chris used the word best, extortion, because that's what Citizens Energy is doing
I wasn't
to us.
referring to the contract, I was referring to our day in and day out operations up till now in 2025. It sounds like being able to run our own system is,
We can definitely still run our
pay
own
money to the
system.
citizens.
The only problem is, just like he said, there could be additional cost on them next 8 years to 2025, and we could be up to the 306 instead of the 248.
The cost you're
There's no
referring, the cost you're
guarantees.
referring to is not on our end, you're talking about on their end, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, okay.
Our end is fine. I mean, I think, if we're going to have an increase, I think this citizens of Beech Grove is probably going to have an increase.
How does that work, Alan? At the end of the 7 years at 248, if the rates have increased for the Indianapolis customers at some point, and let's just say they are paying 450, would we, from year 7 to 8, or whatever it is, 8 to 9, would we immediately be raised to that higher rate?
That's called Phase 2, and so any rate increases that they get that are applicable to the satellite customers will be held off until 2026. And then they will be proportionately added to your bill.
Okay, so.
So let's assume that over that period of time, they've increased the rates $1 a thousand. So you would, over that second phase, you'd pay 25 cents per year to reach that $1 a thousand.
Are we just catching up to them at that 2025 rate, or are we continually to catch up to them if their rate continues to go up for this next 4 years?
By the 2026, then you will be at full cost of service, and then you will be needed to, or whenever they go in for a rate increase, I would suggest that you hire counsel and, for the citizens, or get together with any of the other satellite communities and hire counsel to make sure that your interests are protected. In the initial rate increase, none of the satellite communities were represented. It's only because they thought they had contracts, it was only until they decided that those contracts were unconscionable that they did not have the cost of service, that the intervening satellite communities really got involved and stood up and looked and said, well, this is going to cost us a bunch of money.
Well, I know that the increase is coming whether we like it or not. And I don't like myself. But I figured out from now that we're paying 76 cents per thousand to 2025 is 7 years. It's $1.73. It went up. 26 cents a month, a year rather. And $2.49 per thousand, that's, for a lot of us, that's not a lot of money. But like Chris said, there's some people out there who live in day to day on Social Security checks, and it is a lot of money for them. And they can tell tomorrow might be a lot of money for me. But I know we're gonna have to do it, and even though I don't like it, I think we should approve it.
Jim, keep in mind, Citizens charges us like 75 cents per 1,000 gallons. We charge Beech Grove Sewage Works customers over $2.40 per 1,000 gallons treated. So all these rates, unless you folks decide you don't want to increase the rates, which is your right, but if you do, we're not just going to pay $2.40. The city's going to pay it, but if we pass that on to the ratepayer out here, that's going to be well over $4 a 1,000 gallons. Just treat wastewater.
Okay, well, that's what's an explain.
But a citizen spoke to that issue last time, and that money is return on investment for us owning the sewer, and it pays for policemen, and it pays for firemen. We wouldn't have as many as we have now if we didn't have that utility and have that extra money coming in. What's it bring in about a year, Dan?
850,000.
That buys quite a few
Give or
firemen and
take.
policemen.
Not as much as the Lord.
Not as much as what?
But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, okay.
Plus,
Oh, go ahead.
plus, when in July of 2011, when the city signed off on the agreement with the city of Indianapolis and citizens, then we started paying the capital improvement fee, which is going to be $85,000 this year, unless you don't approve this, then it goes to $300,000, which I really question actually. But if you don't approve this, either the city or the ratepayers, by the time this thing gets done in 2031, you are going to ask the ratepayers or the city to pay $3.7 million above and beyond the treatment of wastewater to satisfy that agreement with the city of Indianapolis and citizens. Whereas if you get out of this, if you approve the special contract, $85,000 for the next 2 years, and then you're done, you will save the ratepayers of Beech Grove over $3.7 billion.
And I'm of the opinion that those capital costs, that it might be 300,000 this year, but it's going to go up significantly because of all the capital costs and what they're doing at the Southport and Beech Grove plant. So, and what that figure is, I don't have any idea, but it wouldn't surprise me another 100. Well, that's just a wild
Is
guess.
there any entity that reins them in and says, you can't do this much improvement because the taxpayers cannot support it? Or are they just doing what they want to do and go to the IURC, and then they say, oh, yeah, it's costing them this much, so you gotta pay it?
The,
In your packet for the last meeting, I had a copy of Citizens Action Coalition and some other groups sued Indianapolis Power and Light in federal court over the rate increase that they were given by the IURC. The court ruled in favor of the IURC. Citizens Action Coalition and other groups appealed in federal court, and the ruling from the federal judge was that courts do not have jurisdiction over the IURC.
and, what was your question?
Is there any
Old man
entity
moment.
that's
Oh.
overseeing their projects and saying?
Well, that's really the OUCC's job and the IURC's job. Evidence is presented to the commission, the IURC, as to what they need to do. They have to comply with the long-term control plan. They have to comply with the Clean Water Act. They've had a system that has been, has had deferred maintenance. So all of these costs, so they present that. People will make arguments that they don't have to do this and it should be cost. In the overall scheme of things, not that much money, maybe $1 million or $2 million here. But that's what the commission is. I mean, it's not carte blanche, although it seems like it sometimes. I really don't think it's carte blanche, just that they say, well, hey, we want to do this. And, at one point in time, they took a hit for some of their salaries that they were paying, and so they would not allow them to put that into their rate base. So the commission and the OUCC are the people, are the gatekeeper for that. So I don't want to think, or I don't think you should think that just because they put it down, they get it. They don't. They spend tremendous amounts of money in legal costs and rate consultant costs and engineering costs to make those cases to say that this is what we have to do to maintain the permits, to comply with government, and to cover our costs. So in some respects, it seems like that, but I really don't think that it is.
But wouldn't state legislation have some rulings over how, are there state laws or state legislation when you were asking who's responsible? Are there any
I mean, costs are costs. I mean, it's a cost to do business,
But I mean-
and the commission is given the authority to look at the rates. The OUCC is given the authority to represent the ratepayers. They try to, to make sure that those costs are needed and that those rates, and they try to hold those costs down. Those of us on the outside sometimes don't think they do it as much as we'd like for them to do it, but for every decision that the commission makes, settlements, agreements, or whatever, there has to be evidence that is presented to them that backs up those facts. So that's the procedure at the commission, so.
Well, you would hate to have a situation like Flint, Michigan, when you've got, I mean, I know that's a, but when you've got lead coming into your water and,
Well, I think you have a situation where, there sometimes, I think the elected officials who want to do the right thing, they don't want to raise rates. They don't raise rates, and therefore you have situations as to where they put off maintenance, they don't do some of the things that they need to do. And so over a period of time, those things mount up and compound themselves. So that's why I think you see that's why I think you saw citizens, CWA, buy the city of buy the assets of the city of Indianapolis. I don't think that some of the people there wanted to make those decisions, to take the heat from the electorate or the people or the little old ladies. I mean, they put that off to to another entity because they thought that, I guess they thought, and plus they were able to, at that point in time, release some of the dollars that those assets were worth that they could do something else with. Same thing that the city or that Westfield did. I think you're finding that there are others because other municipalities, other entities are getting out of that business for reasons that for varied reasons. They don't want to pass those costs on. They don't want to have that. They don't want to have to be the person that tells the little old lady that she's going to be paying $90 a month for sewer. So if they pass that off, at least there's some oversight of that. And that's what the commission is there for, both electric, gas, water, for that. So.
Any other questions for Alan?
Who appoints the IURC
Governor.
people that sit on that board?
Governor.
The governor? Same way with the OCC?
The OUCC is a government appointment. The consumer counselor is a government or a governor appointment. The staff at the OUCC, as is the staff at the IURC, are generally long-term civil servants. I know the attorneys and some of the administrative law judges at the OUCC have been there for years. So, I mean, it's the people that are in the trenches are pretty much, experts in their area.
Lifers.
I beg your pardon?
Lifers.
A lot of them are, yes.
Any other questions or comments for Alan? If not, I'll ask for a motion to either approve or deny the special contract between the city of Beech Grove and CWA.
A second.
No, I need a motion to either approve or deny.
I'll make said motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve, a second. We'll vote individually, beginning on my left. Buddy?
My question is, I'm a little mixed up here. Where does our vote stand on this, Mayor?
The board approved it, so the board would have the legislative authority to enact cancel the agreement.
So our vote really doesn't count for the contract, correct?
Now, you would sign either yay or nay. If you don't want it, if you vote no, you sign your name and put no by it.
But to what end is the vote?
Yeah, it's what I don't understand.
It would be, actually, the vote was by the Board of Works, but
presented to you for transparency. You have a say in what's going on.
Would these new rates then go into an amendment to the sewer bill that we're looking at in resolution
No.
ordinance 3?
Different,
Whole different thing.
totally different.
Whole different thing.
Okay.
And that's not up for discussion this evening.
Okay. No, yeah, I
Whether you
understand.
approve this or you do not approve this.
I still don't quite understand if we approve or don't approve, it doesn't change
It
anything.
doesn't change anything.
So the vote is just to vote.
Good vote.
Based on, it has nothing to do with changing sewer rates, and those will be discussed by the council at a future date, I'll agree with this.
Vote yea.
Yes.
I'll abstain from voting.
Yeah, yes.
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, then you, if you vote nay, put an N by your name, circle it. Veto, don't sign it, just put abstain by your name. There's 4 copies for you to sign.
I think they're just gonna individually.
Is it just the next one?
Council, that concludes new business. Council comments beginning on my left. Buddy?
I have none, Mayor, thank you. And Jim's not by the mic right now.
Jim, any comments this evening?
No, I just want to thank everybody that came to listen to this, and hopefully we will make the right decisions.
Dave?
Yeah, I think it was a good thing we did. If we didn't do it, the rate would start out in 2018 at 248 per thousand, and at least we deferred it. And sometimes it's not what we want, but it's what you gotta do.
Okay, so.
Thank you. Vito?
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with the contract, but I mean, I wasn't gonna vote on it because my vote doesn't make any difference on whether it goes through or not, so.
Liz?
I want to thank the attorney for all your hard work, answering all your questions, our questions. You've been around for us. You've helped out the city a lot. I really appreciate your help, your honesty, and putting this thing so we can all understand it. And I really applaud your effort. I think it's good that we can avoid that rate shock. It's going to happen. And we have to work together, and I appreciate your help. Really do.
Chris?
No comment.
Kevin?
I don't have anything.
I passed out General Ordinance 6 and 7. That will be heard on first reading at the June 5th meeting. Be introduced by Councilor Mascari and Councilor Lamping. So that's coming. I want to go ahead and pass it out. Plus, we'll be hearing General Ordinance number 5, which is an additional appropriation, which we'll get to you probably Friday. So I want to read a statement, and then we'll adjourn. This is concerning Marsh Supermarket. As most are aware, Marsh Supermarket has filed for bankruptcy protection. Fortunately, the Beech Grove store remains open. This is not surprising, as this location is one of Marsh's most productive stores. According to published news reports, if a buyer does not emerge within the next 45 days, the store will close. I wanted to share with you what we have done to address this issue. Through our city attorney's office, we have reached out to Marsh's corporate counsel and established a line of communications to have a better understanding of what Marsh's intent is for the future of the property. City Legal has also reached out to similar businesses to ascertain whether there is an interest in the property. The closing of the Beech Grove Marsh is very bad news for our city. We too will have a food desert as a result of this closure, as it will certainly compromise area residents along with senior citizens who cannot travel long distances for food. Likewise, our redevelopment commission at its last meeting has discussed developing a new comprehensive plan for our city, which will also incorporate this area of our city utilizing green spaces, trails, and infrastructure improvements to attempt to attract new business. Also in the months ahead, I will introduce to you a new approach to the City Council to address this entire area for reinvestment. We cannot continue to lose businesses in District 1 and District 3 and stare at vacant buildings. So sometime this summer, I will get with you and introduce a plan to rehab that area. So I wanted to put that out, and I want to release this tomorrow, but I wanted you folks to hear it first.
As the mayor, you're the one that would be most intricately involved. If Marsh does close this store, have any other stores shown an interest?
I'll defer to legal.
There's a possibility that some of their competitors will step in. Well, first off, there may be an investment group that comes in and saves the day towards the end. I don't think that's gonna happen from what I'm hearing. There's a possibility that some of Marsh's competitors could step in and take the most profitable stores, which would be the one in Beech Grove, and take over that particular property. I've reached out to a couple of similar businesses that I think would be, and the mayor and I think would be good for that property. I'm not ready to talk about that right now, but we're hoping that there's a continuation of services in that particular area, but we're on it. We want the citizens to know that we're working on this, and because it's a busy location. And,
Yeah.
And I think everybody knows what a food desert is, and it's not a good situation.
All right. With that, motion to adjourn.
Make the motion, we adjourn.
Second.
The meeting is adjourned at 8:18 PM. Thank you very much. Make sure you sign the form.
Buddy,